Hey guys, so I wanted to show you, I am wanting to make a special hat for someone that I have been watching their channel for a really long time, and their favorite color is green. So actually I'm making this for two people. One that I just barely started watching because she just barely started making videos, and she has requested a scarf, and I'm going to make the scarf and the hat out of the same yarn because they both like green, and I'm kind of excited. This has the alpaca from Growing in Faith Farms, it has my own Angora, it has Cheryl's Kid Mohair, and then it also has some bats in it from my spinning box. Now the reason that I'm doing multiple bats, multiple fibers, is because I want it to have different textures. All of those fibers, the one I'm using right now, this one from the spinning box, is merino and silk, and they all have the same kind of fineness, texture. Some of them have more halo than others, which is the way that the fiber kind of comes off the side of the yarn and is kind of fluffy. And I want there to be different textures. I want there to be different colors. I'm going to use the same dye on all of it, but different fibers pick up color different. And so I'm going for a green and a gold. And for those of you who are curious, my spinning wheel is a Crafty Symphony, and I like it because it has all of the different sizes of whirls and everything, so that I can do a really fine sock yarn on this, or I can do a really chunky art yarn if I wanted to. There's a limit to how chunky I can do it because the orifice is average size. So if it was like super chunky, I couldn't do it. It would just need to be something that was bulky. I could do a bulky yarn here. It would be a little more difficult than a medium-sized or a worsted or a sport weight or something like that, again because it would be limited by the orifice and also by the size of my bobbin. So let you get a good look at all the different colors I have in there. It's going to be really soft, and I'm going to do, for the hat, I'm going to do a Hatitude hat, the one that's kind of like a half hood, half hat. And then for the scarf, I'm going to do the Shape It scarf that's from Zimmerman. I think it's Elizabeth Zimmerman. I really love both of those patterns. So I have been making so many of those hat hoods lately that I just went on eBay and bought the book. I got it for $1 and it was $3 shipping, so I thought that was a really good price. I do have a gold color coming that I did not dye, that was pretty inexpensive and had good wool in it, and I'm going to do that as a very slim thread-like yarn so that this will be most likely a 3-ply yarn with that little hint of gold thread running through it. So I'm pretty excited to make these, and I'm trying to have it done before we get a lot of really cold weather. But I find that when I run out of a spinning project, I get kind of restless. So even though I have all the Kickstarter stuff done, it's really nice to have someone else to make stuff for. So there we go. This is the next stage on the Wrangler Star and Southern Homesteading yarn. Let's see if I can show it. The reason I have it variegated like this is that I'm going to dye it now, and I'm going to dye it green, and that brown will not turn green, but the white will. And so it should turn out a really fun mottled color rather than just plain green. And then this is one that I got from the Butte Alpaca people that I'm going to try too, and we'll see which one turns out better. So I'm actually spinning that one right now. Hey guys, so here is Mrs. Wrangler Star and Southern Homesteading's fiber all spun up and ready to go. Some of it was Kid Mohair, Some of it was alpaca, some of it was from the spinning box. Is there anything else? And some of it was some of the fiber that was left over from the sweaters. So I have my leaf green Wilton's icing colors. We'll see how it turns out. I'm a little bit nervous. So they both like green. So I'm gonna, it's starting to get really hot. Now if you've ever watched Kim Knits, she has a really great channel where she is experimenting with all of the different dyes and ways that you can dye things. And she uses the icing food color. And this one, I wanted to try it because it's completely non-toxic. The other that I used for the sweaters is toxic while you're dyeing with it, but then it's fine after you finish making it. So we'll see how this goes. Those are pretty tiny little jars, and I don't know, I don't think I've ever dyed a batch this small. So I'm gonna get a spoon, see if I can tell what the color is gonna look like. That's pretty light, but I don't have that much fiber to do. And because I don't have that much fiber to do, I don't know if maybe this is plenty. Because usually when I do a sweater's worth of yarn, this is how much water I use. And now I've only got 3 skeins instead of like 16. And so I think that it's like going from cooking for a really big family to cooking for just yourself. You don't get it quite right for the first couple of years. I'm having a hard time scaling down from my big batches. So she also does one where she tries to get the color to break. So she uses dry fiber. So pardon the mess. I have not set the twist in these because there wasn't any point to set the twist yet. Because I was just going to color them. So we're going to let those soak for a minute and see what the difference is between the two. The one that I put in, I'm going to turn that down because that's going to start boiling and I don't want it to. Okay, so we'll see how it does going in dry. Wow, that's really vibrant. What, honey?
So I got down the one page of my mathematics and we're doing another one.
Bring it here, let me see it.
Oh, that is awesome.
Is it awesome? Okay. Is that a 2 or a 6?
That's a 6.
I think it's turned the wrong way. Okay, for this one, you need counters, and in this one you're going to make 2 groups, and you're going to have 3 in each group, and you're going to tell them how many is total. Okay, so I have several different kinds of fiber and yarn in here. It's still pretty green. So now I have a very thick, very tightly spun yarn that I did a while ago, and I put it into a loose cake to see if it would make a difference in how it takes up the dye. I want to see if there'd be any variegation with it. And you can see there's still quite a bit of color. I also put in one of my red yarns that has some white left over. I'm not going to move it very much because I've got all this raw fleece in here. I just wanted to see how everything would take it up. because I do have the two different dyes in here, and it looks like the darker dye, the more of a sage green, went into the skeins that I put in first, and the lighter, more yellow dye is going into the ones I put in later. And it's a lot of dye, so I don't know if everything will be able to be absorbed or not. I kind of wonder if maybe I need more vinegar.
Oh, that's a lot. So that's what makes it really fun.
Yeah. See if that makes a difference. The longer it's in here, the more of the grayer green it picks up. It looks like what is not being picked up is the lighter green. So I'm going to put a lid on it and let it simmer. This is the second batch. I've added 2 or 3 skeins, yeah, 3 I think, skeins of yarn at different intervals to see what kind of color I will pick up. So far, all that's really left in here, let's see, where's my spoon? This is what came out of those 3 skeins. So 4, I guess I did 4 skeins. This one is my favorite. This one is 2 greens, which I'm dyeing right now, but what I put in was my burgundy that I had done up in a tight skein when I had put it into dye as the burgundy, and so you can see the burgundy is still there, but now I've got this really pretty green that's running through it. Everywhere that there was white, because I had done it as a tight skein, I'd had a lot of white in it left over with the burgundy. And you can see that turned out really pretty. And then this one was the loose skein. It picked up some, I'm not sure where it got that, unless it was from being next to this one. It has a little bit of like a brown or a burgundy tint to it.
It's pretty.
It was, huh? This one was white. This one was plain white, and I put it in right after I put in my regular fleece, so it picked up the most consistent color. And then these are the ones that I put in that I wanted to just see what would happen. They're not my favorite. They're more of a masculine color. Kaya, go put the stool up, please. So now I'm going to let these drain out. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to let these drain out, and then we will set the twist. And this is what we have left over. I really loved the burgundy. I really loved the burgundy, so I put another skein of the burgundy and white in. And it's not picking up any green quite yet. And that's a little bit hotter than I want it to be, so I turned it down to low. Okay, so at least we're pulling most of the green out by now. And it can simmer, but I don't want it to come to a rolling boil. And we'll see how many different tones of green we get in here. Yeah, that green's almost gone. So we'll see what happens with that purple. It may or may not pick up any of that green. We'll just have to see. So we'll turn it down more. Put the lid on. Okay guys, this is the finished product. I think it turned out really pretty. So, there we go. That was probably about 3 hours worth of work. Just on and off checking things, adding different dyes, adding different fibers. I think it's going to be really pretty. So this is the fiber that I just dyed for Southern Homesteading. Or is it Southern Homesteader? Why don't I ever remember? This is actual yarn and it's almost dry. These are getting close. So excited to see how they turn out. And then there's the other ones I dyed in the same pot. Let's see how it all turns out.